So, and they do that, it saves the Army money. So if you're single, then you stay in the barracks and you share like this little tiny, really dumpy room with another soldier. And they're about the size of a closet, maybe a little bigger, and depending on your situation. I have some pictures. They were really bad, some of them. Well, I'll talk about mine later, but so then they also make you eat at the, what they call the DFAC, which is the cafeteria, kind of. And then you're not allocated any money, but they say, the Army says, well, that's worth this much money each month. But of course, if you're a man, you're going to eat a lot more. And if you don't go every meal, then of course you're not going to get all of that money. So, but that's how they add it up. So if you're a soldier and you get divorced and you have children, then a lot of times what they do is they allocate 25% of your $50,000. So when I was my rank, I was only bringing home, finally after 4 years, I was bringing home about $900 a month. So a lot of soldiers will actually have that entire amount allocated to child support or alimony, both. And they won't have anything left at all. So, and it's because they base it off that $50,000. So when you're married, also that, like, the housing, they say, is worth $1,000 or whatever it is based on the location, and they give you that dumpy little room. It's not even this. It's really bad. The water was brown. It was making me sick. There's mold growing on the walls in the ventilation system, and then you have to share it with someone else who sometimes, like, part of the time I have to give my leadership credit. They didn't force me to share, which I was really grateful. But then I had to share with somebody that was half my age, was racist and very dirty and extremely inconsiderate. So that didn't work so well. And the room was just moldy, really, really bad. And I actually have pictures of that. But anyway, so I wanted to give you an example as well. A fellow soldier, she was the same rank as myself, although she had some more time in grade. She was making at least twice as much as me while we were deployed, probably more than twice, because she was married. And her husband didn't live with her either, because they had just gotten married before she deployed. And you make more money when you're deployed and you're not taxed. So when you're deployed, like myself, even though, like, I'm not living in barracks or anything and you're living in these dumpy little tents, you don't get any kind of compensation for housing. But when you're married, you still get compensation for housing, especially if you live off post. So her husband lived in another location. He had a different job and they lived totally separate. But when she came back, they actually divorced, but she was allowed to continue to keep her housing. And she did not have children, but she had furniture, and she was somewhat favored, although Snake Eyes did not like her. He used to pick on her. So she was alright sometimes, this gal. So, and I did want to mention, so when I tried to join, they told me that I was not allowed to have custody of my children and could not even have joint custody. The father had to have full custody. So, but there were others. There was a man when I was there, I don't know how he got on, but he had joint custody of his children and he received housing, and his children never showed up. Of course, that's a lot the way it is. And then when I found out that my ex-husband had remarried very soon after our divorce and began having more children, he began abusing her as well. When I returned from deployment, I received a phone call from the friend of this woman that married my ex. And so and it was asked of me if it would be okay if we became in communication with one another, and I said yes, of course. And I received pictures of my children's stepmother, bruised, and disturbing stories about abuse. So I asked my commander if I could get housing and pursue custody of my children, and he said to me in the most serious tone, "You just can't help yourself, can you?" And of course I was denied for housing, and that even as a battalion, I think commander has to approve, and probably the brigade. They just won't allow you if you're single. But I didn't really know what to say to my commander when he said that to me. I know he cares about people. I served with him a long time, and served him directly and worked directly with him, so I can't say terrible things like he's heartless, but maybe he's repeating things he's heard from other people. But women just can't help themselves from loving their children and missing them and wanting to be with them. I don't know. But so I would save my money, and I was only able to see, only my youngest will talk to me, or used to, and I was only able to see him twice in the 4 years, and I had to save up money because it cost so much to stay in motels, and twice, 2 Christmases, and those my allotted times, and the rest of the time I wasn't able to get away, and I couldn't afford it, so couldn't do that. So they will not accommodate you if you're a single parent, not even in the least, especially if you're a woman, because I did see them accommodate men. So and especially not if you join after, and doesn't matter the circumstances, even if there's abuse, your children are being abused, they don't care. So, and the state that my children were living, they just, they pretty much are just glad that my ex-husband wasn't a drug addict, that they could care less if he's doing anything else. So the social system, social services system is really messed up. I was really afraid of them too when I was there. I was afraid they were going to put me in jail. So anyway, I didn't understand all of that legal mumbo jumbo and couldn't afford an attorney. So and my ex was just threatening me all the time. So he won. He had the job and I didn't. I don't have any money or any support. So that's the way it goes for women, right? So unless you have millions of dollars like some women out there, then they claim victim, and they've never been a victim. So I get tired of listening to that. So, but I just wanted to share that with you, and it's extremely unfair the way the Army does it. Like, everyone has contract marriages. Nobody lives with their spouse. They cheat all the time, even if they live with their spouse, and they get twice as much money. Literally, you get twice as much money when you're married. But I definitely discourage you from getting married and having a contract marriage, because you can get in trouble for that. So if you suddenly have a moment that you have integrity, they'll just say, well, I know that you're lying about your marriage, and we're going to make sure you get in trouble for that. So, so just do things the right way, otherwise you'll just get yourself in a lot of trouble. So, yeah, that's just what I want to leave with you about that.